Let's get this closed. It's time to make some vanilla ice cream. I'm so excited because I love vanilla ice cream. So we're going to start with measuring out 4 cups. We'll need 4 cups of milk. So I'm going to use probably 2% milk here. So let's get that measured. Don't mind me, just like making a mess as I normally do. So I'm going to use 2% milk. You don't have to use 2% milk, but I think that if you want like a lighter ice cream and you want like a little thicker of an ice cream, we're going to go with 2% milk. I have made this recipe with whole milk. I've made it also with cream. But I find that 2% milk, I think, is just like the sweet spot. So that is what we're going to do. Measured out the milk there. So we're gonna have this heat up on my pan for like a medium-ish heat because basically we don't want the milk to burn too much. So I have it slowly starting on like a level 7, give or take. And of course, a little bit of and of course a little bit of espresso to wash it down because you need a little bit of coffee before you start cooking. But while the milk is heating up, we're gonna do like a few other things just to get it started. Oh, hello, crypto art. Welcome. Welcome to Cooking with Lemon live. We're making a homemade vanilla ice cream. So I'm very excited because I obviously love dessert and I love sweets. So I figured why not come on to a little YouTube live action and make some homemade vanilla ice cream. Because I have this recipe posted already, I think. Awesome. We love your videos. Oh, good. I'm so glad. I love my videos too. I also love my food, which is another big reason why I decided to come live and do this. But with that said, we're gonna take 4 eggs and separate the egg yolk from the egg white. I have like another jar that we're gonna just use for that. So first do that, and we're also, of course, gonna save the eggshells. And why are we saving the eggshells? Well, we're saving the eggshells because the eggshells we're gonna use for fertilizer for our plants. So you're probably saying, Lemon, that's actually crazy. Why are you saving the eggshells? Well, the reason I'm saving the eggshells is because eggshells have a lot of calcium in them, and plants love calcium, just like humans love calcium and animals love calcium. Plants also love calcium. So that is exactly what I'm about to do is save the eggshells. We're going to save the egg white and then we're going to use the egg yolk to make the homemade vanilla ice cream. So go ahead, separate those yolks. I'll show you what all those yolks look like after. Again, save the eggshells here. You could use I've seen this recipe of people using up to like 5 or 6 eggs. I personally don't think you need that many eggs to make a really creamy vanilla ice cream. So I would just recommend minimum at least 4 egg yolk. So here we go. This is the second one, and I'm just cracking the egg like this, and then just reserving the egg yolk like this. So there's the second yolk. Here's a third one. And this comes together pretty fast, guys. I would say within 30 minutes, you're going to have yourself your homemade vanilla custard. Unfortunately, to eat the ice cream, you have to let the ice cream sit in the freezer for at least, I would say, 12 hours. So I won't be able to eat this ice cream until tomorrow. However, it'll be nice to have this ice cream for Memorial Day because then I can serve this ice cream with like a with a vanilla pie, or with like a vanilla pie with like an apple pie or something like that, and you'll have your own fresh homemade vanilla ice cream without having to go to the store. So that's what we're going to do is this ice cream is going to be used for probably for Memorial Day. So this is the fourth yolk. I'm almost done separating the yolks. And remember, we also have 4 cups of milk that is heating up on the stove right now. I use 2% milk. You could use whole milk. You could use cream. There's a lot of options. You could use, honestly, I've also found that if you do this recipe with 2 cups of whole milk and then 2 cups of 2% milk, I find that that's a pretty good ratio too. But again, it really depends on I think it depends also on your tolerance for cream and your tolerance for milk. I know some people have a lower tolerance than others do, so that's okay. We work with what we have. So with that said, here's 4 egg yolks. Um, with the egg yolk, we're gonna mix half a cup of granulated white sugar into the egg yolk. And this is gonna be like the base, guys, of our custard. So in order to make a really good homemade vanilla ice cream, you need sugar, egg, vanilla, salt, and milk. That's all you need. It's 5 ingredients. So it comes together really, really fast. I've got, like I said, half a cup of granulated white sugar. Just go right on in with that sugar. Beautiful. Okay, looks good. And take a spatula, mix it up with a spatula, and we're gonna mix it together so it's like the consistency of like, let me make this step. I can see if I can make this a little bit more. So you can, it's gonna be like the consistency of like yolk and sugar, and it's gonna be, like, super creamed together, and basically what we'll do is we'll take the milk, once it heats up to a certain degree, and then we'll combine it with the egg, and it's gonna make, it's basically gonna allow the egg mixture to get used to the heat so that we don't end up with scrambled eggs when we throw the eggs back into the milk. Oh, hi, Aberna. Hi, welcome to Cooking with Lemon. Um, this is actually my first dessert show, on YouTube. What are you making? I am making a homemade vanilla ice cream right now. It's super simple. It's only 5 ingredients. It's literally just sugar, egg yolk, vanilla, salt, and some milk. I'm just joining. Hi, Kaden. Welcome to Cooking with Lemon. We are making homemade vanilla ice cream. It's super simple, 5 ingredients. I've got the milk heating up on the pan right now, and we just combined 4 egg yolk with half a cup of granulated white sugar. I'm mixing it up because we're going to get ready to, once the milk heats up to about 170 degrees or so, we'll know that a lot of the milk and like the liquid from the milk has evaporated. So you're left with a nice, strong, like concentrate of the milk protein that's left. So once we have that, that usually takes about 20 minutes or so to happen. So I'll even flip this around so you guys can see the milk boiling at one point, but it happens pretty fast. And once we do that, once like while I'm doing that, we're just making the custard part of the egg yolk and the sugar. So a little bit of multitasking here, but multitasking is good. That's how you make a good ice cream. And this is like the consistency that we're going for. It's once it looks like this, any tips for curing a yeast infection? Sorry, guys, I can't help you with that one. But what I can help you with is the fact that this vanilla ice cream tastes amazing. And not only does it taste amazing, but you're going to have people like complimenting you and being like, oh my God, I didn't know you can make your own homemade ice cream. Well, yes, you can. You can make your own homemade ice cream. And this is probably one of the best recipes. And I'm not even lying when I say one of the best recipes because I get so many compliments on this ice cream, um, that I just stopped buying some of the store-bought ice cream because the ice cream I was making here was so stinking good. So with that said, we're the milk's been on the heat for probably 5 minutes or so now, but we're gonna let it go on just a little bit longer. Again, probably 20 minutes or so. Once it starts to boil, we're going to just get some of the liquid evaporated out of the milk. Getting the liquid evaporated from the milk is a good thing because we're left with a super strong, rich milk protein. Said hi. Hi, welcome. Hi, Aberna. Welcome. Is this what type of milk? Sorry. Yeah, so I'm using 2% milk for this. You can also use whole milk. I would say we're going to be using 4 cups of milk. So either you can do 2 cups of 2%, 2 cups of whole milk. You can do 4 cups of whole milk. If you want it to be super creamy and super rich, you could even do 2 cups of cream and 2 cups of whole milk. I have a little bit more of a sensitive stomach, so personally stick with 2% milk, but I've even had people make this recipe with non-fat milk, with skim milk before. So it really depends on your tolerance for dairy. But I would say 2% milk, and I usually try to use like a grass milk or a grass-fed milk. And the reason I use try to go for a grass-fed milk usually is just because um I find that the milk has a little bit of a richer, creamier taste. And then I also know that the cows are being treated better when they're like a grass fed or grass milk. So you get the benefit, from that cow essentially, which is a good thing. Bugs have thought and said, I have to go. Well, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. And I'll probably be live for about another 20 minutes or so, just while we finish making this homemade vanilla ice cream. And it's actually what's really nice is this ice cream is very is Ninja Creamy friendly. So you could either use this recipe as part of your Ninja Creamy, or you could also use this recipe. The cows have to try your ice cream. Yeah, they do. You're right. The cows definitely need to try my ice cream because then they would understand. They would be more forthcoming and understand why I need to use their milk for the ice cream. So that's definitely right. You guys are funny. Make me laugh. So, okay. So, like I said, we've got the 4 egg yolks mixed with half a cup of granulated sugar. We're gonna have our Ninja Creamies that the ice cream mix is gonna go into because this is gonna have to freeze overnight for at least 12 hours. And the reason we need it to freeze is because it's gonna go in the Ninja Creamy, and the Ninja Creamy will spin the vanilla ice cream. If you don't have a Ninja Creamy, that's no problem at all. You don't even need one. You could even put this with your KitchenAid ice cream mixer, which I don't have an ice cream maker like attachment with my KitchenAid mixer, but in theory that's what you also could do. So the milk's starting to heat up. I'm not sure if I can flip this around. Can I flip this around? Yeah, I think I can flip this around. So this is what we're going to be working with right now. You see how the milk is already starting to heat up. You have all these bubbles from that are starting to evaporate from the milk. This is a good sign. So we're going to continue to let this heat up over the heat for another, 10 minutes or so. We've already been letting the milk go for about 5 to 10 minutes. So we're gonna let it go for another 10 minutes or so. And once this heats up, and once basically we have no more like bubbles left in the milk, you'll know that the ice cream is ready to be switched into the egg yolk mixture, which is a good thing. So I'm gonna put this on back. Let's flip this back. Here we go. What I could do is have you go like this now. Now y'all can see this part. I'm gonna just turn my heat down a little bit because this is where I usually mess up a little bit is I let this heat up too fast like I am right now, and then it starts to spill all over, so I gotta be careful that it doesn't spill all over because I am notorious for doing this with the ice cream. Um, I would also say the secret to this recipe is don't rush it. I always sometimes I let the heat go a little too high, and then as you can start to see, it bubbles up the milk, and it bubbles up too much because there's not enough room or enough places for all of this liquid to go, so I try to be very careful about how much heat I end up giving, the milk. But like I said, keep stirring it. I'm just gonna watch this as I grab the vanilla. Oh, another key to this recipe, guys, is a really good vanilla extract. I personally use the Simply Organic pure vanilla extract. You can use the McCormick. Again, you should make a vanilla ice cream company. Aw, thanks. That's a great idea. I have my dreams of making so I have my own like cookbook that I'm working on, and I have about 50 recipes. This vanilla ice cream recipe is included as part of that recipe book. But I don't have it like live yet, but I am working on it. And this, like I said, this ice cream recipe is totally part of it, which is really exciting. Um, but I would love to make like my own, like not even my own restaurant, but just like my own cooking, like my own, like Lemon's own cooking show, like Lemon's cookbook, Lemon's recipe book. I have a lot of other people that would definitely support my recipe book and stuff. So I think it would be fun to, continue doing something like that. Okay, we've got 15 minutes now going on this milk, you can start to see that it's starting to be like bubble a little bit less, which is a good thing. That means that the milk is slowly evaporating. I also have my handy dandy little temperature thermometer because once we combine the egg with the milk, we're going to let this go to 170 degrees. And that's how we know that the egg has been properly like cured essentially into the milk mixture so that you don't end up having like any raw egg as part of your ice cream. But this is what makes the really good custard. I mean, technically, this is actually really a vanilla gelato if we're going to be technical, because a lot of ice cream doesn't have egg yolk in it. However, egg yolk is, in my opinion, what really makes a creamy, rich vanilla ice cream. So I always, always, always make my ice cream with egg yolk. I've seen some like other recipes on like where people will just do like, sweetened condensed milk. They'll use regular like milk and they'll use like vanilla extract and it's three ingredients. Personally, I just don't think that tastes very close to ice cream, whereas this recipe actually tastes like the store-bought ice cream, but like tastes even better than the store-bought ice cream. And especially as it freezes over and then you put your own ingredients and stuff in it, you're going to be so shocked. And then of course there's going to be a little bit of salt that goes in this too, because we need salt to balance out all the sugar. So I'll go in with about, let's put in like just about 2 pinches of kosher salt here. So that's why we just did about 2 pinches, which I would say is equal to about a quarter of a teaspoon or so of about a quarter teaspoon of salt I would add to this mixture. I would be careful not to over salt. You could do about up to half a teaspoon. I personally don't like that much. Tastes better than store-bought stuff. Yeah, no, Kaden, I so agree. I think that the homemade tastes so much better. And also it's made with love then when you have all this homemade stuff. So another thing that I like to do is I usually don't add my vanilla until the very end. The reason I add the vanilla at the end is because sometimes the vanilla can burn down into the milk as it's heating up. So I personally just like to add the vanilla extract all the way at the very end so that you get those true richness of flavor. So I will we'll get that going in maybe like 7 or more minutes or so. Oh, that's heating up. That's going good. Let's see. Let's see. Get a little bit of light going on in here. There we go. I couldn't see myself before. Okay, this is heating up. This is heating up very well. See now, let me show you what some of that. This is basically what some of the milk concentrate looks like. Um, we're getting a lot of the liquid heated up and evaporated from the heat right now, which is a good thing. So you're left with this super rich, yummy concentrate as part of the ice cream. So this is a good thing. And don't worry, we're also going to be straining this ice cream. So you're not going to be left with any chunks whatsoever. I would say that again, this is just part of the process is using a strainer to make sure that you're getting the chunks out of the vanilla ice cream. But it comes together really strong and I've made this without straining before, and you'll end up with some little chunks in your ice cream. So I would recommend definitely straining it if you have a strainer. If you don't have a strainer, you could also just use like your spoon or the back of your spatula to like hold the saucepan up and then to drain the liquid out, which is also a possibility. I'm actually going to turn up my heat just a little bit now for a couple more minutes while this is heating up. And I'm actually pretty happy with the way that this is heating up now because I feel like a lot of the liquid has been getting evaporated. So we'll probably start to um, cure the egg yolk and the sugar mixture soon, which is a good thing. Sometimes this takes 10 minutes, sometimes it takes 30 minutes. I think because I started heating this up at a lower heat, I think because I did a lower heat, first, it's allowing it to go a little bit faster now because I have my heat up to like 7 out of 10, which is pretty strong. Um, and I it's not heating up too much now, which is a really good sign. So I think we're just about done. Here we go. sometimes what I'll do is I'll get some of these chunks out and um I'll just cover the spoon like this just so that we get some of the chunks out of this. Beautiful. That looks so good, guys. I think we're ready to add message retracted. You should make a what were you, like house? You guys are funny. What messages did you just retract? I'm not sure. Okay, what we're gonna do now, guys, is we're gonna combine the milk with the egg yolk and the sugar mixture. So turn the heat off. Heat is now off. We're gonna take a couple scoops. Hi, is that the only ice cream you can make vanilla, or do you make other kinds? Yeah, you can definitely make other kinds of ice cream using this vanilla base. You could probably make like a matcha flavor if you wanted to make a matcha. If you had chocolate, we could also do a chocolate base with this and add some like cocoa powder mixed with the egg yolk. Essentially, the egg yolk and the custard base is going to be like the base. They're like the two bases of your vanilla ice cream. So what you could also do is like a honey vanilla ice cream. That's another one that I know that people have made before. Is instead of using like white sugar, we could use half a cup of honey and make like a maple honey ice cream. So you could combine like maple syrup, like a teaspoon of maple syrup, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then like a quarter cup of honey, and add that in with the egg yolk, and that will make yourself a maple honey vanilla ice cream. But I'm just gonna do a regular vanilla ice cream instead myself. Are you a gamer? You have a Call of Duty video on your page? Yeah, I know I game. I do game a little bit too. I do try to game a little bit too. I don't game that often, but I do game here and there, and my caller ID is the same as my channel here, Lemon Cooks. So if that resonates with you, definitely, definitely throw an ad. I try to game. I try to game when I'm not cooking, essentially. Okay, so we added about 4 or 5 scoops of the milk here, guys. Now we're gonna go back in and add this egg yolk mixture right into the saucepan. And from here, this is where we're gonna add the vanilla. So like I said, we add the vanilla extract right at the very end. And the reason that we do it at the very end is just so that we don't burn out any of that delicious vanilla flavor. And I would recommend that if you have a thermometer at this point, we're going to be using our thermometer because we want to make sure that this custard doesn't overheat, and so that we don't end up with and it's just so that we don't end up with like scrambled eggs essentially. So now we're going to go in again, my heat is still off. We're going to go in with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. There's one, and I would say we're gonna use a really good vanilla extract. So if you have like the Simply Organic, or if you have, I would recommend if you have an organic vanilla, use an organic vanilla here. Um, Give that a nice stir, and we are gonna turn the heat back on, but we're only gonna turn the heat back on very low. I'm putting it on We're gonna put the heat on like a level 2, a level 3 right now. And while that's heating up, you're gonna take your thermometer and we're gonna look at this to get to 170 degrees. Once it hits 170 degrees, you are done. The ice cream is ready, and we are gonna strain that ice cream. So sorry, I gotta go. Love your stream. Oh, thanks, Kaden, for joining. I so appreciate it. And I'll definitely see you on the next one. I try to go live on YouTube a few times during the week. So we do breakfast shows, we do dinner shows. Sometimes I make dessert. I might make like a banana bread, or we might do a little Memorial Day weekend prep tomorrow. So if that resonates with you guys, definitely I'll see you on the stream probably tomorrow. But we're going to finish up this yummy, delicious vanilla custard. And we are actually already at 180 degrees. So this is actually done. My ice cream is done. I have it set to, like I said, 170 degrees. And I will flip it around to show you. And basically 170 degrees means that the egg has been sufficiently cooked. And we just wanted to make sure that the egg was cooked so that we don't end up with any scrambled eggs in our vanilla custard. So I'm going to flip you guys back, and we are going to stream this now over. Let's remove this from the heat. And we are about to do a little bit of straining to get this going. Let's see how much of a mess that I can make. S- Thanks for joining the stream, though. If you've been here for for a minute, here we go. Here we go, my friends. So just again, guys, take your time here. The slower, the better. Slow is good. And this, again, we are straining homemade vanilla ice cream for anybody who just joined. And take your time here. Uh, I take my time here, I say as I make a mess. And then we'll get the rest of that out. Okay. Yum. Yes, please. That looks so good. Here, we got a little bit more. I'm gonna do the other one. Yum, this looks so good. We're just gonna give that a second to strain because we're making a mess right now. Thanks for joining, Kaden. Appreciate it. I hope that we see you on the next stream. Yum, this looks so good. And we are just straining out this vanilla ice cream, guys. This looks so good. Yum. And let's get some of this cluster. Let's get some of this mixture out so that we get make room for a little bit more. Yum. So I'm basically filling up my Ninja Creamy to 2 lines right now. These are the max fill lines. And then we're gonna let this at least go overnight for at least 12 hours. And we have 2 delicious vanilla custards, vanilla ice cream. Again, the technical term is I guess these are technically gelato. However, look how delicious these look. So again, we're gonna let these cook, freeze overnight for at least 12 hours. After 12 hours, let it run once in your Ninja Creamy, or if you have a KitchenAid mixer, let it cure. Well, not cure, but let it spin in your Ninja Creamy or in your Ninja Creamy. Let it spin in your KitchenAid mixer for like 30 minutes or so. And same thing, you're gonna let it freeze for at least 12 hours overnight, and you have yourself a delicious homemade vanilla ice cream. I'm gonna get going because I gotta get some stuff to clean up, but I hope that resonated with you guys, and I'll see you on the next cooking stream. Be well.